And there's so many outcomes of data projects that I've seen where it starts off as like, hey, we have this data. We would like to be able to forecast next month's sales using our historical data, right?
Yeah.
And it seems pretty straightforward. You know, we give you the data, you train up some models, you start giving us forecasts, everything's great. Once you start diving into a company's data, you start finding that there's a whole bunch of assumptions tied up in how it's collected, how it was processed, how it was stored. There's duplication. There's all of these things that make that data messy and tough to work with,
Yeah.
that like just going through the process of trying to hit that end goal of making predictive sales has all of these extra outcomes that are very positive, of like cleaning up operational processes and how you get data in, and building that common language where people go, oh, when you say you want to forecast next month's sales, it's because we're trying to interact with our clients in a certain way, and being able to give them that data is actually enabling us to give them insight into X action or whatever, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
times the goal that you start off with the data project isn't even the most valuable thing that comes out of it.
Yeah. It's, that I've got a good story on that one because,
Yeah, please.
yeah, you start digging into the data and you find so many gaps or things you can measure. But we were studying payments for shipments, which is a common thing. I've seen this in multiple companies, right? And it was really interesting because we were looking at the data and we're like, wow, we haven't invoiced these these shipments. And we looked at the data and it was like, wow, they were shipped. We got a record finally that they were shipped, let's say like 6 months ago. And I was like, that's interesting. They're shipped 6 months ago and they haven't been invoiced yet. So, we started studying the process and we found out that, it was triggered on the paperwork. So if the paperwork wasn't submitted through the right process, it wasn't tagged for invoicing. So then we looked at, well, it's like, who is the person that puts it on the truck, right? And okay, how do they notify anybody that it's shipped, and how do we find that in the database? And there wasn't a tag for that, right? So
Hmm.
we added a tag. So we went to that person and say, hey, okay, you go in, you enter in this field the date that it gets shipped. We'll reconcile that with the invoices that go out, and now we have a tag. It's like, okay, now we can start dating this and see which ones haven't been invoiced and go and clean this out. So instead of relying on the paper process where the piece of paper can like sprout legs and then walk off and
Yeah.
end up
End up
in
in the
somebody's
shredder
shelf.
somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. It could, who knows where those things end up, right? That's what we discovered. They were sprouting legs. They were walking away. But when we added the tag, you couldn't do that anymore. Those pieces of paper became irrelevant. So we said, paper, you're not the driver of the invoice to get the money in, and we got money in faster, right? So that's an interesting one where we started down this path of just seeing that we were getting money and when it was coming in, but we discovered a gap in the process, which added more value to the company than the actual outcome of just studying,
What they were going for originally,
yeah, what
right?
they were going for. So it was a beautiful thing in that, just the study of data, you release these patterns that weren't known before. Nobody knew that the paper had walked off, right? So, but now we could see them very clearly. Wow, every month we were having this many that was delayed this long. This is probably because that piece of paper walked off.
There's often value that's unexpected that comes out of these data projects. And like what you just highlighted, there's so many different things that can happen along the way, since this is such an integrated project across the company that can cause it
Yeah.
to fail. And just knowing all of those different touch points and why those are important can make you a whole lot more successful in a data project